This video is an unknown 2 tutorial, and for this unknown, you are not filling out a report like you did for the first unknown. This unknown, I'm going to call it a report, but really document that you're filling out is a flow chart. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But to kind of kick things off, remember we are talking about Lab Unit 2, and in this unit, we are talking about ways to identify gram-positive cocci bacteria. And as you see here on the second slide of this lab PowerPoint, there are two groups of gram-positive cocci organisms that we're focusing on. One of those groups is the Staphylococci. The other group is the Streptococci. Notice when we're writing the name of a group, we do not italicize or underline, okay? Now, within the Staphylococci group, we have two organisms that we're studying, Staphylococcus aureus and Staphylococcus epidermidis. So these are two of your possible unknown organisms. And then we have 6 organisms that fall into the group Streptococci. So we have Streptococcus pyogenes, we have Streptococcus agalactiae, Enterococcus faecalis, and Streptococcus bovis. Notice there are 2 right here, okay? And then we have Streptococcus pneumoniae, and finally Streptococcus sanguinis. So these are the 8 unknown organisms, okay? Now you are not being assigned one of these, nor are you trying to, just pick one. I'm not sending you any pictures or anything like we did for the first unknown. What you're going to do is fill out a flow chart that would help you identify if you were working with Staphylococcus aureus. What lab media would let you know you're working with Staphylococcus epidermidis or any of these others, okay? So there are 8 organisms total. Now, here's what you're going to do. So just like before, all the unknown information that you need is in the Lab Unit 2 module. Go down to this Do folder, and when you click on it, you're going to find the documents that you need. Here we go. So notice there are 2 files currently. Okay, there will be 3 momentarily. But this first file, Unknown 2 Flowchart, is what you are going to download and submit. This Unknown 2 skeleton is going to be what helps you fill out your unknown flowchart, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click on this top file. Again, this is the one you want to download and fill out. So once it's done downloading, remember to make your life easier, once you open this file, please hold. It opened it on the wrong screen. Hold on 1 second. Where is my mouse? Here we go. There we go. Remember, what you need to do is you need to always click that yellow bar at the top and click Enable Editing. That will let you type directly on the flowchart. Because as you can see, there are text boxes. Okay, so you can just type directly in the box. Okay, so you don't have to worry about adding your own text boxes. This should be much easier to fill out. So notice that on this flowchart, some of it is already filled in for you, okay? We have our catalase test, we have the mannitol salt agar, blood agar plates, so on and so forth. This is all of the media that we discuss in Lab Unit 2. So as you're watching the Lab Unit 2, you're going to learn about catalase test, and you're going to learn that it allows us to differentiate our 8 unknown organisms into 2 different groups. So that's what you put here, okay? And so as you can see in the directions, you're basically filling in all these blank boxes with different information. But how do you know what information to put in there? Well, I created what I'm calling the Unknown 2 skeleton file. And this tells you exactly what you need to put in each group. So all the text here in blue is what's already provided to you on your unknown document, okay? So notice catalase test up here first, mannitol salt agar, blood agar plates. If you go back to the document I just had up, see, all of that's already there, okay? So in blue is what you've already got. In these top two boxes, I'm telling you, you need to write the group name. Okay, remember, I just told you that there are two groups that we divide our 8 unknown organisms into based off the catalase test. All right, so then one of those groups, you would then do mannitol salt agar next. For the other group, you would do the blood agar plates. So as you go through the lab videos and the lab PowerPoint, you're going to see which group of organisms the blood agar plates are relevant for. Okay, you're going to find out which group of organisms the mannitol salt agar plates are for. So all you're putting here is the name of the group, which was just discussed on the lab PowerPoint at the beginning of this video. So then what you're going to do for a lot of these other boxes, you need to fill out the observations and results that you may get from each of these tests and what that tells you, okay? So when you do the mannitol salt agar test, when talking about our unknowns, we have 2 organisms that we can identify just from the mannitol salt agar media, okay? And so that's what you put down here at the bottom, organism 1 and organism 2. So in this middle box, you're going to say, okay, Chelsea, I did the mannitol salt agar plate. If I observe this, which is this kind of result, I know I'm looking at this organism. But if instead I see these other observations and get this other result, then I know I'm dealing with this organism. Okay, again, all of this information is in the PowerPoint and the videos, but if you have any trouble with this, please reach out, okay? But let me know. I will have a lab review session like last time where I'll kind of talk about this a little bit more, but start working on this sooner than later. That way, if you have a problem, we can solve it. Now, notice down here, okay, well, let me backtrack. So I call each of these pathways, okay? So if I start at the catalase test, and let's say I get the results that tell me I have this one group, I do the mannitol salt agar, I get these results, these observations, I know I have this organism. That is one pathway because this one path led me to this one organism. A second path, right, catalase to MSA, but these observations and results, that's a second path that leads me to a second organism. So each path ends in an organism, right? This is the last box in this first pathway. This was the last box in this pathway, okay? Now on the right-hand side, the pathways are a bit longer, right? The catalase test may tell us we have this group. We may do blood agar plates, then need to do this Kirby-Bauer, and then we get this organism. But again, at the end of a path is where an organism name should go, and you need to write that organism name correctly, okay? But notice you also need to fill in the Lancefield group for these remaining 6 organisms. You do not need Lancefield groups for these 2 because they're not applicable to this group of organisms, but it is for these, okay? So the bottom boxes for each of these paths need both an organism and a Lancefield group. Notice there are 8 boxes that need organism names, and there are 8 different unknowns. So each organism is only put on this flowchart one time, okay? So organisms or names of any kind, whether it's the group name or the organism name, is going to be in these red bubbles. Again, make sure you put in the Lancefield groups for these right-hand 6. These other boxes that have the green text is where you need to tell me the observations and results associated with that given test, okay? So let's say you did the catalase test and your results tell you you're dealing with this group of organisms. So for this entire group, your next step would be the blood agar plates. There are 3 different things you might observe when you do the blood agar plates. So you have to figure out, okay, well, if I get these results, if I observe these observations, which means these results, I need to do this Kirby-Bauer test next. But if instead I observe this, which is this kind of a result, then I need to do this different Kirby-Bauer test. But if I get the third option for observations and results, I need to do my bioesculent agar, okay? And so It's just like a big old puzzle. Look at the lab notes and the videos and say, okay, well, what are the 3 possible outcomes for the blood agar plates? Okay, cool. We know that information goes in this row of bubbles. Now, which set of observations and results indicates I should do BEA next? Okay. Which observation results indicates I should do the Kirby-Bauer optotion or Kirby-Bauer bacitracin? Okay. Notice on yours, the one that you're filling in, it tells you which Kirby-Bauer specifically you're doing, okay? I didn't put that on the skeleton, but it is on yours. So again, 3 outcomes for the blood agar plate, and each of those outcomes leads to a separate test, whether it be one of the Kirby-Bauers or BEA. From there, anytime you do a test, you're going to see something, right? You're going to get some sort of results and observations. So you'll always fill in, okay, well, if I did Kirby-Bauer, I might see this, or I might see this. If I see this, I have this organism, but if I see the other option, I have the other organism. Okay, so take some time, start working on this as you work through lab unit 2. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to let me know. But at the end of the day, y'all, this is the document that you are filling in. Okay, so make sure you read all of these directions. Okay, there's a lot of important things for you to remember. Notice I tell you about those Lancefield groups for some of these organisms. When you're doing the Lancefield groups, there are only 4 possibilities that you can write down. Group A strep, Group B strep, Group D strep, or none. Do not write NA. NA means you're saying that Lancefield groups aren't applicable. Well, if it's there, it is applicable. Okay, so do not put NA. You could put the word none. And again, all of this is in the videos, but I just want to point that out because this is something a lot of people overlook. All right, you guys, please let me know if you have any questions.